we go for Movie Crap. I'm live. Hello. Welcome to Movie Crap Live. I'm glad that you're here. I hope you can see me correctly. And I hope you're all doing well today, this whatever day of quarantine we're in right now. I guess I'll wait to hear myself, as we do, as tradition is. It's not a great tradition. Early bird. Hello, Rian. I am a little early. Hey, Jim, it's me. Hey, Ransan Film. Hey, Austin. Hey, oh man, my thing's being weird, so I can't see if I worked or not. I'm assuming people can hear me. Someone in the chat, well, now I can't see nothing. YouTube is having a lot. Oh, I can hear myself. And I hope you're all doing well today. Okay. Oh, I don't know why I froze it. Okay. No. Oh. We can hear me. Anyway, okay. Let's tweet this out. So shut it down. Trending in New York. Don't know what that's about. Hope it's not too bad. Anyway, I hope you're all doing good. It's nice to see everyone here. Whoa. I hope everyone's doing well. Hello, stop spoiling Steven Universe JK. I don't know if I'm spoiling anything because I haven't seen it. No, this is Patrick. Okay, alright. Seems like everything's... Hey, what's up? It's you. Today we're going to talk about things. Thank you, Ryan. Oh, hey, Monsters Review's here. Okay, so let's just get... Let me have a drink of water. You can just look at my beautiful illustration. Sinram called you out today. That's true. I'm going to talk about... That's going to be the beginning. Let's switch to me. There I is. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Movie Crap. Oh, there we go. Welcome to Movie Crap Live. We're here to talk about the latest movie and animation news on a Saturday night like we do. Thank you all very much for everyone who's come out. I hope I'm helping make your quarantine just a little bit better. But anyway, broke quarantine to kiss a cute girl and gave her cookies. Cartoon free. Good for you, man. Or woman. I was gonna buy a Red Bull to drink with you. Oh, thank you, Ransan Film. Well, cheers to you and your Red Bull. And there we go. First super chat of the night. Thank you very much. I very much appreciate it. Cheers to you. Anyway. So, Movie Crap Live, as we do. So, I hope everyone's doing well. So, not Ransom Film, Sinram, my good buddy, is, oh, you are making it better. Oh, thank you, Austin. Thank you very much. Thank you for another super chat from Austin. Cheers to you again. Cheers to you, sir. Is it gross that I'm drinking along with the things? I was thinking that today. Maybe people hate that, but you guys seem to dig it. I don't know. Anyway, two things before I get into the rigmarole of the show. I was on Animat's podcast today. I had a great time. Everyone should listen to Animat's podcast. I think he's a very knowledgeable guy. I want more of the cartoon community to go on that podcast as well, but that's a larger thing. I should just say, hey guys, you should do this. He was very nice. I finally got to do it. It worked out. One of the things of quarantine is I finally was able to do Animat's podcast. So that was amazing. It will be up on YouTube on Monday, and then I think there'll be a segment of that also released. So check that out when that happens. Thank you very much for Matt for letting me come on. And again, thank you for Ryan for getting that, encouraging me to do so. I guess that's the best way to phrase that. Also, so Sinram, a couple weeks, was it last Saturday, a couple Saturdays ago? I don't know. I did You Too Quiet. Am I really? Do I need to? I shouldn't be. Am I talking too quiet? Let's move the mic over. I don't know. It's up pretty... I'll move it up a little. There's not much it could go, so I don't know. Now prompt the Discord. I was going to talk about the Discord. Don't worry. Anyway, point being, Sinram, basically I talked about how I didn't believe there was... that there was... Oh, hey Alex, how's it going? I didn't believe that there was a thing called 3-act structure. He disagreed, and he wrote me a long thing about it, and I said, don't do that. I mean, I'm not going to read this whole thing. Why don't you just make a video about it? And he did. And I mean, I encouraged him to make this video that countered me, believe it or not. So you should watch it. I think it's really good. It's in the description of this video. I wanted to tweet it out today. I didn't get to, but I'm going to tweet it out and promote it a little tomorrow. Because as you know, I tell people to check out Cinram's video. So if you want to watch him counter what I said, and I thought he had well-reasoned arguments, I might disagree with the 3-act structure, but I think it was a friendly discourse, and I thought he gave points on his end. I have always wanted to make like a video essay about that. Maybe one day I will. If I ever do, I guess I can link to that again. But at this point, I think he did a good job of explaining how he felt there was a 3-act structure, and that's fine. I thought he did a good job. Please check it out. Cinram wasn't mean. I thought it was a very friendly discourse all around. And anyway, to squash any beef there ever was, which there isn't. We've known each other for a long time. But I will say, no one encourages someone else to counter them. So I thought it was all friendly, but you should check it out and subscribe to Cinram. He makes good stuff. And lastly, all right, so before we get into the show proper and talk about all these various movie news kind of topic-y things, this show and every piece of content I really make is supported by viewers like you, either through the Patreon or through Super Chats during the show. If you are financially able to do so, I very much appreciate it, and it helps me to continue to make content and continue to make videos and all those things. So thank you very much if you are able to do so. If you're not, viewing and liking and just being here is good enough, but thank you very much if you are able to do so as well. All right, so and brought to you by viewers like you, I guess. Also, there's this thing called the Discord, which I did not forget about. Everybody, you should go. There's an Ask Jim section. I've been pretty good. I didn't check it right before, but I'm trying to check it after the streams. Like the last thing I do before I go to bed is answer every one I possibly can. If there's like too many, maybe not. But I will answer every question in the Ask Jim channel in that Discord if that helps promote it. I also think there's friendly discussions. They do watch-alongs. They do a lot of stuff that I don't have the time to participate in. But if you like being in the chats during these shows, or you want to, or in my comment section or anything like that, there's a really great community of that on the Discord right now. So go do that if you've ever wanted to. So there you go. All right, so some of these topics, if you're wondering why I didn't talk about certain things, it was on the Movie Crap Wednesday show. Go to that one, like Solar Opposites, The Willoughbys, Wonder Woman, etc., etc. I did talk about some of these things with Animat earlier today, so apologies. I know the first thing is definitely repeating something. Oh, they're doing Monster Trucks next Friday? Cool. Good choice, also. I feel like I knew that, but now it's just really hit me. Yeah, you should check that out, because the Discord's fun. But anyway, so if you're hearing me repeat things, I apologize. If you're watching both later on, you can use the timestamp links below in the description. I do have timestamps below, so you can scroll around and find the story you want to if you've heard me talk too much about these things on other thing. I did misspell Lair initially, but I corrected it. So did I misspell it again? I don't think I did again. Oh, I did a second time. Damn it. Why do I have an E in there? Oh, well. It was even worse before, and I screwed it up again. I will respell it before I do... after I go through this later. Alright, so there was announced that there's going to be a Dragon's Lair live-action movie at Netflix produced by Ryan Reynolds. Some say he's going to star, some say he isn't. But the fact that they're promoting it and probably pushed it out to the trades with the idea that Ryan Reynolds would star sort of probably means that is something that he's considering at least, especially since he's financially going to... This episode brought to you by Dyslexia. Nice, Ryan. Especially since he's going to produce it and so forth. This live-action kind of remake, it's both a video game adaptation and a live-action adaptation of animation because of how it was made with Don Bluth's animation back in the day. Basically, we don't know much about it, although we do know Don Bluth and the original producers of Dragon's Lair are producers and involved creatively in this. Now, the biggest question I think everyone is having is what happened to that animated Dragon's Lair movie that people kickstarted. What Pan has even said in his video, and I know I said with Animat, is that that was made to make a pitch to sell to other studios. Nothing happened with it, and this is the most news we've heard Dragon's Lair wise in a really long time. So a lot of people are sort of not really thrilled about that this is what became of the pitch that they kickstarted. But I think, one, we don't know if like maybe Don Bluth is dealing with Netflix on a pretty high profile project. So there's that. So that's not a negative thing, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do something later, or they're doing two projects, much like they're doing with Masters of the Universe. This could come later, possibly. It doesn't like look really like it is, but I think we'll see what's going to happen with this. It's kind of interesting the way it dropped, just on a Friday with like, and even Don Bluth's involvement like was tweeted out to show that he's definitely involved at the Netflix headquarters and all that stuff. So it's very interesting, this whole thing, and I know Dragon's Lair meant a lot to Netflix because of Stranger Things Season 3, and it's definitely a property they want to be more involved with, but I'm a little, I do think this could work in some ways because there's not a lot of character there, so you could, like, Ryan Reynolds could do his Ryan Reynolds thing. I actually think his wife would do great as the princess, Daphne, whatever. But I think we'll see what happens with this. I'm a little like surprised that this is the first Don Bluth live action thing, but at the same time it is sort of the biggest name in terms of what Netflix is already doing. It did have that kind of resurgence of at least people talking about it with Stranger Things Season 3. And there hasn't been much talk of like an American Tail one, which you think Spielberg would already be on, or Land Before Time, or All Dogs Go to Heaven. So in recognizability, I think it makes a lot of sense, but it is disappointing to me that they're not announcing the animated one, because they have, it seems like they like animation. They have a Glenn Keane movie coming out. They have, Klaus, they have the Willoughbys. They clearly love animation. It's weird, like, why didn't they do a Don Bluth kind of animated movie like Don Bluth's Return? I think would be great for the Netflix animation brand. And I think animation people, like, would we be freaking out right now if I was like, there is a new Don Bluth movie? I think we'd spend like 20 minutes talking about that. But the animation community isn't that large, and Don Bluth is sort of expensive, so maybe that's why. I do think, and again, a lot of this I said before, so I won't say I mentioned this, blah, blah, blah. But I do think they should take Dragon's Lair, make it an interactive game on Netflix. I think people would love that. I don't think it would cost that much to like repurpose, and you could probably do it. I don't remember the controls being that sophisticated. I think most remotes could handle that nowadays, even a Roku remote or something. Maybe you couldn't do that, but to me that like works with, I know they want to do interactive stuff. I know Pan acted like they'd make an interactive like live action thing, which I think they could easily do and make it exactly like the animated game. That would be cool. But I think the idea of, I even brought up again with, I'm like just promoting anime at this point, the idea that you could just make it in an 80s fantasy way, I think would be cool. But I do think Blake Lively should play the princess. I do think it could be really cool, and I think it's enough of a name, sort of, that people would check it out, because I don't think that's a name that people would go to the theaters for. But Ryan Reynolds is like one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. He demands a huge paycheck. He's definitely a star people will come out for. And I think most people, like, he has a younger demographic as well, which works for Netflix, and this appeals to something that they're already doing. So I think it's a home run for them. We'll see where it goes. There's no director, right? I don't think there's a director attached. That's not good. that's not great. That sort of sucks. What director would I pick to do a Dragon's Lair movie? Now that I'm thinking about, there isn't a director attached. Dragon's Lair is the first topic. I see a couple of those. And John Waters was in the road trip. I'm trying to think of what who would direct it. I almost want Edgar Wright to do it, but I want him to do everything. And I don't know who would do it. Probably someone more video game savvy. But maybe in the chat, could you let me know who you think should direct the Dragon's Lair movie? I think I would like some cool suggestions for that. All right, next up is the Angry Birds animated series at Netflix. This is not just called Angry Birds, it's called Angry Birds Summer Madness, which is a weird kind of thing. And the designs, which look similar to the movie designs, look pretty cool. But actually, interestingly enough, the Angry Birds sequel has been doing very well on Netflix, apparently. In fact, really, really well. And I like that movie. I think it kind of got underappreciated, frankly. Chris Columbus, nice. Nice choice, Ryan. But a lot of Taika Waititi. I vote Zane Powers. But it's interesting that they're going for this. It's a 40-episode order for Netflix. It's going to launch in 2021 with the Angry Birds thing. It feels like maybe they see potential in that. And the Angry Birds 2, it's directed by the guy who created Flapjack. I thought it was kind of weirder and a lot more interesting than the first one. I don't think it, I haven't watched it again, to be honest with you, but I think there is sort of potential if you get a more interesting director or creative voice attached to it. And Angry Birds Summer Madness could be something. The designs don't blow me away or anything like that, but we'll see about that. We'll see what goes on. I'm curious what's going to happen with the continuation of Angry Birds, but it's interesting that they kind of just went, well, this is doing well for us, let's just make another series or something. It might have been in the works before, but I'm sure they're higher on it now that that's happening. So, I didn't talk about, that's true, Rachel Bloom does a voice in Angry Birds. Hey, Rachel Bloom's cool, I like Rachel Bloom. I watched all of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, so. Michael Biehn is going to be in The Mandalorian, which is great casting if you remember him as, from Aliens, and he's John Connor's dad. Anyway, I wish he was in more stuff, and when I was a kid and would fan cast things, I would just put everything, I would put him in everything. Who is he playing? A rival bounty hunter, which sounds perfect. I really like Michael Biehn as an actor. I wish he was in more stuff. Frankly, I don't think he's in enough stuff. He should probably be in more movies in general, but I think that's a perfect fit. He's into sci-fi stuff. If you're a sci-fi fan of all the classic Star Wars stuff, you probably grew up with movies with him in it, frankly. And I think Michael Biehn would be, Joe Dante for Dragon's Lair. Damn, Austin, that's a good choice. I'm into that. Pencil Tip Workshop also said that. Brad Bird also. These are all good choices. Anyway, but I think if you're already into Star Wars and stuff, he's already someone you were watching, with all your other favorite movies. So it sort of makes sense. All right, so next, two people, Edgar Wright. I haven't looked at these lists because I was like, let's just do them live on the air. Which was two directors have come up with recommendations to uplift people during this time. One is let's see, for Edgar Wright came up with his 100 favorite comedies, and Rian Johnson came up with his favorite 70s musicals. So, I saw a super chat in there. I first read this news as Shaun being cast. Oh, that's funny. That's funny, St. Powers. Cheers to you. Thank you. Yeah, I guess he would have had to die then if that was true. But yeah, that's interesting that you read it that way. Cheers. My pizza party figure. Oh, my action figures. Alright, so I wanted to, both are on Letterboxd, but Edgar Wright did his 100. Are these numbered? Or these are just to get through these tough times, please enjoy. You could easily do 100 more, so I guess these aren't numbered. Are these numbered? These don't look numbered. I think these are just by year. Anyway, I'm looking at this list now. This is me live reacting to. This is really cinephile-y. But it has classics. It has Buster Keaton, Our Hospitality, which is great. I'm surprised he likes that one as much. Steamboat Bill Jr., which is where Steamboat Willie came from. You should watch that one if you're a fan of Mickey Mouse. And in general, Buster Keaton's amazing. He has a lot of Buster Keaton. The Thin Man, Bring Up Baby, Sullivan's Travels, classic. The Producers, Doctor Strangelove. Any surprises on here? Heartbreak Kid. Not really anything. I mean, they're all pretty, if you've seen comedies. Airplane, Risky Business, The Spinal. Top Secret. I love Top Secret. Citizen Ruth. Oh, Edgar Wright likes South Park. Kung Fu Hustle. I already knew he liked that. Windy City Heat. Don't know that one very well. Let's see. Anchorman. Team America. One Cut of the Dead. That's a newer one. Popstar. Oh, okay. Edgar Wright likes Popstar, Mistress America. I'm surprised by that. I never saw they came together. He put What We Do in the Shadows on there. This is on Edgar Wright's top. I'll put this in the chat for everyone. Hold on. Let me put this in the chat so anyone else can look at it. Hold on. There we go. But yeah, he likes Anchorman. Idiocracy made it on there, which surprised me. I didn't like Idiocracy's much. He has some foreign stuff. Delicatessen, Beetlejuice, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Pee-wee. A lot of good stuff. And then Rian Johnson just posted, it's not as many, and I'll post his favorite 70s musicals. These are just to help people during this. Not Rian Johnson. Peter Jackson? Oh, Peter Jackson he would do a Dragon Slayer one. What's the worst movie to see during quarantine? Oh, The Shining, of course. He posted a bunch of stuff. It's like Donkey Skin, Cabaret, Jesus Christ Superstar, Phantom of the Paradise, all that. Oh, guys, you should see All That Jazz. I'm going to tell you that right now. Bugsy, I don't know about Pete's Dragon, some of these Rian Johnson. I don't know, man. I mean, I was fine with The Last Jedi, but At Long Last Love I've never seen, but I've always heard is pretty interesting, by Peter Bogdanovich. Anyway, those are some recommendations. I put those in there. You should check it out. So Chris Nolan, I was going to talk about more coronavirus stuff later, but I thought this was sort of interesting. So a lot of directors, not actually a lot of directors, I'm going to say that right now, not a lot of directors have actually talked about saving movie theaters right now. I know there's like bigger things to talk about, obviously, but none have actually put an op-ed in, and Christopher Nolan has. And for everyone who, you know, talks about how important the theatrical experience is, I've actually heard very few of them go to write like a whole op-ed that the whole world could read. Christopher Nolan did that, and he said things. I read the piece, but I just have the things like that. He says movie theaters are a vital part of American life. They need our help. Said when people think about movies, their minds first go to the stars, studios, the glamour, but the movie business is about everybody. The people working the concession signs, running the equipment, taking the tickets, booking movies, selling and advertising, and cleaning the bathrooms in local theaters. Regular people, many paid hourly wages rather than a salary, earn a living running the most affordable and democratic of our community gathering places. Wow, that's really nice from him. I'm actually surprised he would write that. Maybe he didn't, but I respect him because I know he is always very much film focused and theater, and like it has to be in a theater, it has to be this thing, and he never really sells it. You wouldn't think, you think it's more about pretension, but it clearly means more to him. And I think in these trying times, there's a lot of directors who just tweeted it or something like that, but like he really put his opinion out there and made it known, like, we should have this. And he has a name. There's talk that his someone's Austin. I like Andrew Stanton for Dragon's Lair, and he did. I think he might have done the Netflix episode of things like that. So, Ransan Film sends super chat. Yes, you can send me the opening scene of your film. Thank you very much for the super chat, and I will be happy to watch that. Cheers to you. All right. But yeah, I think that's very cool. So, moving on. I guess you probably know, and I haven't talked about, and I guess there were more things to talk about, and I guess I haven't really been avoiding it, but Momocon has been delayed. We don't know the date unless that's come out that I'm unaware of, but it looks like it will happen in the later part of the year. I'm not going to say in terms of conventions and cons, and I have gotten a few of those questions that seem to be dissipating as people notice that things are getting worse. What is going to happen with cons? I think in general that's something we can't really get into because no one has an answer. I will say that one thing that is to consider, and again, I'm sorry that I push this, like, let's be as depressing as humanly possible when I'm talking about the situation, but I think we should be real. A lot of these convention centers are being made into hospitals and are housing people who have coronavirus and things like that. And we'll see when these spaces are ready again to actually have a convention, which at current time I don't think they are. So we'll see what happens about all that. But I think currently there's no date, and as this situation develops and as there's no cure, it could be a while. I hope it happens. I hope to go when it does happen, but we'll see whatever happens with that, and when we have a new date and everything like that. So yeah, this episode's sponsored by Life. Yeah. All right, Ransom Film, thank you for another super chat. You said, do you hate Dirty Shame and do you like Three Leeches cake? I don't hate Dirty Shame. I think it's okay. It's just not my favorite. But yeah, I don't think I gave it the greatest review. But it was interesting him doing a dirty movie. So that was cool. Anyway, cheers to you, Ransom Film. Thank you for the super chat there. Okay, so next up is the Shaun the Sheep wins at the British Animation Awards. Shaun the Sheep is getting some attention, at least in England, which is good because Shaun the Sheep Farmageddon is a great movie and more people should watch it. I love watching Shaun the Sheep. So we'll just go through the list of winners from the British Animation Awards. Best long form went to Shaun the Sheep Armageddon. Best voice performance went to Sally Hawkins as the snail in The Snail and the Whale, which we have the book of, but I've not seen the movie, so I'm interested to see that. Moomin Valley, don't know it. I don't know the Moomin thing at all. But it won Best Children's Series. Best Children's Preschool is The Adventures of Paddington, which I haven't really gotten Sophie to watch that much. Coldplay won. I just think that's gross because I don't like Coldplay. Let's see. Best postgraduate. Wait, I don't know who that is. Best Writers Award went to Gumball. Best short form content, A Whale's Tale. Best original music, The Tiger Who Came to Tea. And I think that's the only one that's... Children's Choice won for a Shaun the Sheep episode. Best use of sound from Gumball. And that's about it. But Shaun the Sheep won Farmageddon. You should check it out. You have all the time in the world right now, right? Except for all the time you have being scared by stuff. So that takes time, you know? Sorry. So, the Furiosa spinoff. I don't know when I learned about the Furiosa spinoff, and I've known about it for a little bit, and I heard about it on Jeff Snyder's podcast when he was still putting out his podcast, about that the actor who played the, what was his name? He was the bad guy in Aquaman, and he's in the Candyman thing, and he was in Watchmen. I forget his name. Anyway, he was being offered a part in that as this Furiosa kind of spin-off origin story, and he was going to play the mentor. And I heard that they were considering going for someone who wasn't Charlize, although they were thinking of doing just a story of Furiosa. But as Charlize is getting older, and the shoot for Mad Max movies like Fury Road was like extremely long to get that to work, so it's not Crudup. It's not Crudup, by the way. I mean, he was the bad guy in Aquaman. He was in the recent Candyman that hasn't come out, which, that's probably getting delayed at this point. And anyway, but I know that was the rumor that he was considered. But there was this thing with Charlize that people were saying because maybe she doesn't want to do that stunts heavy movie. It's really rough to do that, and she's, everyone's getting older, and it's hard to do a stunt heavy movie like that for like 8 months. And she apparently, even though she's proud of Fury Road, doesn't really want to do it. So they're talking to doing like an earlier, prequel to Fury Road in a way. And Anna Taylor-Joy apparently auditioned via Skype. Not necessarily means she's going to get the part or that she wants the part or whatever is going on with it. But it sounds like George Miller is developing this more and more, as I'm assuming he can't shoot his like weird drama he's doing or something. It's not Patrick Wilson, guys. Like, why? It's a black guy. It's not. I hear someone got it right. Hold on. Yahya Abdul Mateen III. M. Blood T got it right. But yeah, Furiosa biopic. It sounds like he's developing it. Apparently, a lot of productions are actually just going through as much development as they can, since no one can meet up and everyone's in quarantine and stuff. So certain pre-productions are actually moving along just as fast, apparently, as normal. Like, there has been no production slow time in that. It's just actually making the movies. But it sounds like this Furiosa spinoff might actually be more ready to go than it would be without the coronavirus, apparently. So that's kind of interesting. I would love just any movie in the Mad Max universe that George Miller is attached to. I'm there for. I think that sounds amazing. That sounds awesome. I'm ready to go. I want that to happen. So I hope it happens. But we'll see. All right. So now it's time to get to, well, first, Stuart Gordon died last Wednesday, I believe. He directed Reanimator. He did Robot Jox. He had a long legacy in kind of exploitation-y kind of cult movies. And I think the cinema world will dearly miss him. I'm sad to see him go. I think it's sad to lose any bigger director like that. I think it wasn't from anything like Corona involved or anything, but it's sad to lose, you know, one of the great kind of like 80s cult movie directors of our era. And cheers to you. I'm just gonna take a sip because that bummed me out, but cheers to you, Stuart Gordon, and I'm sorry that we no longer have you here. So all right. Sorry, I know that wasn't a super chat. But, China had opened their theaters recently. They were going to put out things like first Harry Potter with the 4K transfer, all 4 Avengers movies, Avatar. You probably saw some headlines. Will Avatar be #1 again? Things like that. People were excited. And then they closed the theaters again because they felt it was not a good idea to open them. So, it's sad that the theaters closed again, and it makes me worried because it makes me think, like, what if we have our theaters open again? We have 2 days and then they close them again. And when I was talking to Animat today, he brought up that I wanted the theaters to open and I wanted like everyone to come out and like, let's give them a show. Movie theaters are back. And he was like, well, we can't do that because that would not be safe for public health. And I was like, oh yeah, that's true. So I think it might be a while. Maybe they have to do the 100 person a theater kind of thing. We'll see. It's sad that they had to close again, and that China's having a hard time building its economy back up. So, you know, I hope they open up again soon in a safe way. I am curious how they're going to fill all these theaters in a multiplex, knowing that all the movies that normally would are all on demand now. Or on a streaming service or on something. So, this is kind of, you know, it was kind of hopeful that they opened their theaters for the movie industry, and learning that they closed again was like, ouch. On another part of this, Variety put out a thing about how Hollywood productions are sort of in limbo because of the coronavirus, and the Batman has stopped production, Matrix 4 has stopped production, and they're not even sure if they can make the release dates. A lot of them are still speculating they can, but with things being pushed back, like, you know, other movies being pushed back, how will we know, you know, if these things can make their dates? You know, I mean, will Eternals make a date? Will they put Black Widow in that date? Will they move another thing? Will they, you know, it seems like they're moving smaller movies and letting the bigger movies keep their dates. But, and the other thing that's kind of interesting about this whole situation with things getting delayed is the idea of talent. And apparently talent basically could, you know, they have other movies, like movie stars and so forth, have other movies they're starring in that will now get delayed because their production that was supposed to end at one time now isn't going to, because it's being delayed for several weeks. So the only movie that isn't being pushed back is apparently Doctor Strange 2, interestingly enough, which to my understanding Sam Raimi is directing, even though we never got a full confirmation. I think that maybe that happened, but I know particularly, you know, Jurassic World is no one's sure what's going on with that. And then a movie that not enough people talk about, but will probably be big when it comes out, is Red Notice. Now, Red Notice is this movie that is going to star The Rock, Ryan Reynolds, and Gal Gadot, and is going on Netflix. Like, no studio would fund it because it was going to cost too much with a cast like that. And that's been delayed. And with those three kind of out of the picture, like, you know, Gal Gadot doesn't do, I don't think, a ton of movies really outside of Wonder Woman and stuff like that. But then, you know, if that gets pushed back and her promotional campaign for Wonder Woman. They might have to work around things for that. And then The Rock is in a ton of stuff, and then Ryan Reynolds is in a ton of stuff. So this could push things back like crazy. It is interesting to find out that pre-production's going along fine, but the fact that no one's sure if the Batman and the Matrix 4, those are both Warner Brothers films, what's going to happen with them in terms of when they will actually get released is sort of interesting. I think what we could see happen is, I was saying before, I've said this before, but I say it again, that things are going to be constantly moving around, probably up to 2 years that are affected by this. And I'm surprised we haven't really heard of any films getting outright just completely canceled. Like, I think that is a huge possibility. I think we're going to read about, like, why was this project canceled? Oh, coronavirus. Or why did they not film? Oh, hold on. Austin brings up, I've been reading Ultimate Spider-Man and Sam Raimi, Avi Arad, Toby, and Bruce Campbell as Mysterio all appear. Oh, that's cool. Thank you very much for the super chat, Austin. That's a good recommendation. I haven't read Ultimate Spider-Man in a long time, but I didn't get to that point. That's cool. Thank you very much for the reading suggestion, Austin, and thank you for the super chat. Cheers to you. Yeah, I think when I was reading that article, I was like, man, so many things. I mean, Red Notice is going on Netflix. It's very easy for Netflix to move things around. But even Netflix, the reason they bought Lovebirds is they committed like billions of dollars to original content, and suddenly they're not going to have it because they can't make anything. So we're going to see what is going to happen with all this. But it sounds like next summer movies are going to be affected too, most likely. And even 2022 possibly. Like, we're going to see, I think some of these things are going to go straight to streaming, like New Mutants. I think that's highly likely at this point. I think Antlers, oh, hold on, here we go. As told by Gonzo, what's up, Jim? What's up, Jim? What is your favorite era of Disney? Mine is the 90s. I grew up seeing Lion King, Mighty Ducks, Blank Check, etc. in the theater. Enjoy all your content. Sincerely, longtime fan. Thank you, as told by Gonzo. Thank you very much. Cheers to you. I will answer that. Cheers to you again. I find this question interesting, actually, because you only mention one animated movie. You mention all of Disney, which I find that interesting because that makes this question very different. Because I would actually probably say I'm a big fan of the sketchy style from the 70s, or the Xerox thing. I would probably pick that almost if I was animated, or the Disney Renaissance. I would say the 90s because I have a lot of nostalgia for it. I sort of am, believe it or not, preference for where we are now. But I even like the 40s pre-World War II, I think is probably the greatest time that company's ever had. Like, far and away. I think most film historians, and if you watch everything from around Snow White era till now, you'd be like, Snow White till like, when was the last of the Disney, like Bambi, it's all like complete solid, like all the shorts, like everything they were doing, even like the Reluctant Dragon, all that stuff is pretty amazing. So I'd actually pick the best, what's considered like the peak period of like Disney was very invested in everything. The animators were at the top of their game. Every like new things were being like done, and like still like Pinocchio is one of the great, like in terms of just technical animation, some of the best animation of all time. So I would actually pick that. But I grew up seeing those movies, not always in theaters, but seeing a lot of those movies. So my nostalgic pick would actually be the 90s, but my personal cinephile pick would be the late 30s, early 40s, and even I would say early black and white Mickey Mouse as well. Anyway, I went in on that, but yeah, back to movies being delayed. Things will be delayed. Things will be moved around. But it sounds like this is a problem that's a domino effect. That's just going to keep hitting and hitting movies, and we're going to see things delayed. And I would expect the Batman is not going to make that date. I would expect Matrix 4. I don't remember what date it had, but it doesn't really matter anymore. The release calendar means nothing right now. But SpongeBob, interestingly, has not moved. So either Viacom is like playing a weird game of chicken that no one else wants to play right now, or they're just stupid. I'm not sure which. And it's interesting, Soul hasn't moved, and I think people are expecting that. I would expect Top Gun Maverick, maybe. I would expect anything in June is fair game. I would say July is the only thing that feels safe at this point. But also, I mean, the fact that we could have to go back into quarantine sometime in the fall could mess all of this up. So we'll see. Anyway, moving on to less depressing things. I think this is sort of related. Once Scoob was delayed, a lot of people saw the design, a really tiny, blurry design of Captain Caveman. My kind of issue with what's going on with Scoob, and I like the plot. The plot seems fine. I was okay with the Blue Falcon thing, but my main problem is I don't like when they're trying to do a cinematic universe and they push the cinematic universe so hard in the first movie. They shouldn't really do that. That feels very Marvel Phase 1 kind of nonsense, but more post-Iron Man. But, like, they had Iron Man. They had that anchor, and without that anchor of, hey, Iron Man's really great. I want to watch it a million times. I'm excited for the MCU. I don't want to be, oh, I'm excited for this other movie that's going to come out. Like, give me my good movie. And I don't really want all the Hanna-Barbera stuff in there right now, personally. But we'll see where it goes. Maybe it's really good. But I'm a little suspicious of all of that. Can people hear Buster? I guess they can. Alright. Let's move on. So, I don't really have a lot to say about the Steven Universe ending. But I've noticed everyone in the cartoon community saying it. It's a trending topic on Twitter. It was a major big deal, obviously, that it ended. But I think the thing with that show, I will say, is I don't think it means as much to me as it means to, like, the Round Table or Saber or anybody like that. Partly because, you know, I knew Rebecca and all that stuff. But also, I just, I'm not at the time of my life when that show's going to affect me. I did watch it pretty much every episode to a point when Sophie was born. It was like when they had that long break, and then they had the Steven bombs, and like right when you have a baby, it's hard to keep up with stuff like that. So, I would say, I'm sad to see that show go. I think it was one of the bigger animated shows of the 2010s. But I don't think it was, personally like a big thing for me. I know, I've seen people who I'm friends with go on and on about it on Twitter. It's just like, it was someone I know's show. I don't think I would ever going to be that kind of YouTuber or Twitter account or something like that. So that was just never really going to happen. And that would be weird, I think, if I did that. But I'm happy all the friends that I've made from the fandom of it. It is weird knowing the person, being on a stage with tons of people and they're all there because of a show that was made by someone that I used to live with and stuff like that. So that's an interesting experience for me personally. Her and I were not as close as Ian and I were. So OKKO felt a bigger thing for me. Steven Universe I'm more separated from, but obviously I hear about it a lot. But I'll just say, I went to school with a lot of people who worked on it. I'm so proud that they made one of the great animated shows of our era. I think that is amazing that they achieved what they were able to achieve with it. One day I hope to catch up with the rest of it. I really haven't seen much after a certain point, but I'm happy that, I got to meet the kids in the Round Table or Leah or so many other YouTubers who are like really obsessed with that show. I'm happy that they've gotten to make their content and be in the world. So I'm very happy everything it's created and it's made the world we live in today. And I guess that's the thing. I'm sad that it's leaving because I think, honestly, the animation community is much better for it existing than it not existing. And I'm just so happy about that. So anyway, I just wanted to say that I don't, I don't have many other thoughts about like what happened in it. I didn't even watch it. I just wanted to, when these shows end and they're kind of like bigger parts of like probably why you even know me, I just think I should mention it. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, I miss Mighty Magiswords, Ryan. Do you really? Do you really? I can't imagine. Okay. Okay, that was an interesting way to end that segment, I gotta say. All right, Ryan, this sometimes has become Ryan makes Jim laugh. I need some water first, and I'm going to talk about I miss regular show. Check out I did a video on how much regular show means to me. I love regular show. It means a lot to me, actually. All right, Lupin the Third, the CG movie that we've seen trailers for a long time, is coming to GKids. I did talk about this with Matt, but the trailer looks great. I'm excited to see this in a theater. I hope GKids gives it a decent release. I've talked about my issues with how they release things before. I don't think it's right that they release things so kind of limited-y. I think they should open up things a lot more than they do, but it also, I know that makes them a lot of money, so I can't really disagree with that. Oh, hold on, here we go. GKids, I was wondering where you were. Fun fact, spoiler warning for The World's End. Everyone in the film who is/turns to a blank is wearing blue, and every car in town is an Amphra hybrid. I didn't notice that. I was thinking of rewatching World's End with everything going on, so cheers to you, GKids. I'm glad to see you here. I hope you're doing okay. I know it's been... If I feel like where you're working, it's probably been it's been hard lately. So thank you for coming out. I hope I can make your day a little better. And thank you very much for the super chat. And that's a good fun fact. Cheers to you. Also reminding me to watch The World's End. I think that public service you did there. Oh, Magiswords was great. Okay, sorry. Oh, I feel bad now. I thought that was a joke. Jim's a jerk. Alright, Magiswords reminds Alex of Slayer? That's interesting. Alright, but the Lupin the Third trailer I think looks great. I hope GKids gets put out. I hope everyone gets to see it. It seems like a cool movie, and I hope it breaks out from where it was. So yeah. Alright, so Amazon and iTunes have on-demand lists. Most up sorry, GKids thing. I just woke up though. I fell asleep on my arm. That's a t-shirt. I like that. Anyway, I'm sorry if I offended Ryan about... I'm sure he's fine, but I feel bad that I made fun of a show he liked. I didn't mean to do that. Alright, so most on-demand charts, we don't really have them, believe it or not, but IndieWire posted the charts for Amazon and iTunes with every... because there's no like box office charts right now, believe it or not. Oh, come on, IndieWire. Okay, there's no box office charts right now, but there are iTunes and Amazon Prime charts. So I'm going to talk about those. So what do we have for that? Alright, so we have the number one from last weekend movie on iTunes was actually 1917, which is actually only cost $6. The reason it's $6 is apparently if you're still in theaters or potentially could be in theaters, you have to be, like, the rule is you have to be like $15 to $20 apparently, or that's like the standard. So 1917 finally stopped its 90-day theatrical window recently, mostly because there's no theaters for that window to be in, but whatever. So it like jumped up the chart because it was super cheap. Same with like a movie called The Fittest, which was a different thing apparently. But then things like Onward, which was at $20, was at number 2, which I'm going to be honest, I really don't know why you would pay for Onward when it's going to be on Disney Plus, and just a subscription to Disney Plus would cost less, but hey, people are dumb. Birds of Prey seems to be number 2 on iTunes. Bloodshot number 4. The Gentleman, which is actually apparently is a cheaper $15, is at 5. Then I'll just do the top 5s. And The Way Back actually is at number 10. But Contagion, believe it or not, is at number 9, doing pretty well for a movie that came out a long time ago, but it's been very popular. On Amazon Prime, these are the feature films only list. Bloodshot was number 1. Jumanji, The Next Level, which was actually number 6 on the iTunes list, is number 2. Knives Out, number 3. 4, believe it or not, The Greatest Showman, and number 5 was Bombshell. So I might just read these off because we don't have like a box office right now. Like there isn't. I think Box Office Mojo tried to do one and it was like sort of sad. So yeah, so I actually don't have as much news, and this is most likely going to be a shorter show, by the way. So the only last bit of news I have is about the Turner Classic Movies. Turner Classic Movies usually has a festival, a big movie festival every year. It had to be canceled because of coronavirus. What they usually do is they take clips from that festival and air them like forever, basically. But what they've decided to do instead, because obviously they can't have a festival and they can't do their They do a cruise ship. They do a lot of stuff. Turner Classic Movies, by the way, if you guys want to get into movies, hold on. We have a super chat from Alex there. Thank you. I showed my brother 12-ounce mouse the other day, and now it's all he talks about. Oh my God, your brother's cool, Alex. I've only heard myths of Alex's brother, but that's I got Red Bull on my fingers. Oh. Anyway, sorry. Your brother's cool. Tell your brother Jim thinks he's cool. That's awesome. That's cool. We've killed a Red Bull. Thank you very much for the super chat, Alex. That's really cool of you. And I like that it was $12 for 12-ounce mouse. That's cute. I hope that was why you did it. That was cool. Thank you very much, Alex. I appreciate it. I appreciate the super chat. Thank you for all your support. And I'm glad I got someone else into 12-ounce mouse. I've been meaning to do a 12-ounce mouse review, but I'm not going to subject my wife to. She made me watch that. She watched that the first time around. I think she's had enough. So anyway, cheers to you, Alex. But Jim, look at your viewer count. What, 79? What is that? I guess that's good. It seems like people are watching. I can look at it, Anyway, but thank you for telling me to. But anyway, the TCM, you should watch Turner Classic Movies if you want to get into movies. Specifically, I always recommend this. They have a show called The Essentials. It's every Saturday night at 8. Just go and DVR whatever's there if you haven't seen it. It's literally movies that are essential. They're big movies. Anyway, the point is, and TCM Underground, someone mentioned, Pop Culture Guy 3000 mentioned, that is a great way to see cult movies. Every Friday night, I guess at 2 a.m. they just play cult movies. If you ever want to see cult movies, set your DVR accordingly. You have to make sure you record it every week, but it's worth it. Anyway, they're doing what they're doing is playing movies they played at their festival and segments and interviews and all this stuff all weekend from April 16th to the 19th. Seriously, check that out. If there's anything on that lineup you haven't seen, there's your excuse to see it. If you have cable and a DVR, you will get such a great film education, and they're so good at curating. They're the best repertory theater. They're the only one right now, sadly, but they're great. And if you're bored and looking for something to do, check out Turner Classic Movies. They're a big part of my film education, and I love them. But this festival is going to be amazing, guaranteed. Anyway, I love Turner Classic Movies. Anyway, they're amazing. And sadly, Robert Osborne isn't here anymore, but that's a whole other avenue. All right, so let's talk about the nostalgia. This is the only segment. I think as I'm doing more than one show, these shows will be shorter. Also, there isn't a ton of news, so it gives me a little more time to talk about each thing. So anyway, and maybe we can do more questions after this. So yeah, I do have 2 Patreon questions though. All right, so now it's time to talk about. Oh, your brother fell asleep? Dang. I'll just kill this. Is it killed? Is it killed? Oh, we killed a Red Bull. There we go. All right. I keep bumping into myself there. All right, so now it's time for segments. This is the only segment where I review a Nostalgia Critic review. I'm only doing this for the Spider-Man ones. I don't think I'm going to do it past that because as much as people like these, I think, hold up. Here's Pop Culture Guy 3000 can back up on Essentials 2, saw Daughters of the Dust. Ooh, cool. And learned about the Gullah people of the Carolina, Georgia area. Oh, cool. That's awesome. I'm glad someone, let's open this other one up there. Thank you very much for the super chat there. And I'm glad someone's promoting Turner Classic Movies Essentials. Seriously, guys, check that out. Next Saturday, just DVR whatever's there. If you haven't seen it, then don't bother, obviously. But, anyway. It's not 8 p.m. here. It's much later. Anyway. All right, so this is the time I'm going to talk about the Nostalgia Critics review Spider-Man month, even though it's going over and mine's going to go over. But as I've said before, I'm only doing these. I'll probably only talk about Nostalgia Critic when he does something super embarrassing, and you don't need to say he does that all the time. Okay, we're going to move on after this point, but I'm just sort of doing these because I'm more invested in the Spider-Man movies, and his views on them is weird. So anyway, what about that thumbnail? I will talk about that thumbnail. So So the nostalgia critic on Amazing Spider-Man. So I guess we've known for a while that he prefers the Mark Webb films, which is an interesting take, I guess. He came out first, he has that weird thumbnail. All the Spider-Man thumbnails have been, I feel like he's kind of antagonizing the audience, because you're like, are you asking us to get upset? Is that what's going on here? Are you, trying to enrage us with this sort of things? This one felt different. Now, because I feel like getting on your high horse about Amazing Spider-Man is like one of those things that, one, I don't respect that opinion at all. I think it's pretty stupid. Because it's just sort of like who cares? Like, it's such a nothing movie. And even he mentions how it's inconsistency, particularly the Flash Thompson character in this is like really inconsistent, pretty wildly inconsistent a lot of the time. But I did watch his first viewing thing on this, and it does seem like he's already ready to go, like, I think these are better. And you can see they're bringing in MCU stuff. And I'm like, dude, like, this is the same summer of the Avengers that this came out. Which, again, like, I really noticed that he does not talk about context in these Spider-Man movie reviews, which is sort of interesting, because you think, like, hey, what changed between Spider-Man 3 and Amazing Spider-Man? Oh, sorry, the MCU. That's not a big thing or anything. That's not a big... that's not like a big that's not a big thing. I think that's a pretty big thing to leave out, and he doesn't get into that. He does get into the fact that this was made mainly for a contractual reason. They'd lose the rights to Spider-Man, so they had to do it. Anyway, he says basically he's supposed to give his honest thoughts and a unique point of view, is what he said. I don't know if this is unique, because I find it a really boring point of view, because you're sticking up for like a not great Spider-Man movie. And he does bring up that it kind of lives in the shadow of the Raimi films. I like that that he kind of acknowledges that this is a hard time living up to that movie. But the other thing is, like, I always thought that he does also kind of bring up that he almost understands this movie better. But I also think, like, he's not as good at reviewing, like, movies he thinks that are good, necessarily, other than the Secret of Nim video, which I've brought up before, where he explains all the lore of it. In this, it's like, he doesn't feel like he's having as much fun. Like, I don't know if he really, like, loves movies, which, a lot of people told me to suck their dicks on my YouTube comments, so I think clearly people don't like me having that opinion, but... I just find, like, defending this movie boring, because, like, what are you defending? Like, a 2012 movie? Like, I don't know. I always felt this movie was like, if you remember Glee, like that kind of worldview of high school, which is really inaccurate. Like, having bullies who'd be like, hey man, there's a line. I'm like, most bullies I know were just cruel, evil people. Like, I didn't know these bullies that had, like, a social conscience. And, like, I like 21 Jump Street kind of, like, made fun of that, but in this it, like, treats it like this is what high school's like, and it's like, I don't know. And then it's, like, based on 90s Spider-Man, which is, like, not known for, like, its best written stuff, so, like, I don't know, everything about Mark Webb is weird. Anyway, I'm just gonna go through my notes. Okay, so one of the things I did notice about this one is all the other Spider-Man reviews have skits and other actors in it. I have two feelings on this. One, there's the coronavirus, so maybe he couldn't do that. Maybe he literally couldn't have people around, do the sick. They couldn't find a way to do it, and he just kept his employees home. I don't know. That's just what I'm going to give him the credit that maybe he did that. Who knows? So it did feel different from the other ones. It felt more low-key than all the other Spider-Man reviews, particularly as this is in a series. I'm assuming he's going to do that with 2 as well. But the fact that he either kept everyone home or they wouldn't come in, maybe, I don't know. But it is sort of interesting that happened that way. I don't know. It does feel a little more boring. He also brings up that one of the writers of Ordinary People helped write this film. He kind of acts like they're the only person. There's, like, a lot of screenwriters who worked on this film, so I'm a little surprised he brings that. But you know, this. Yeah, I will say this review because you don't have the other actors there. It does sort of emphasize just his point of view, but the problem with this review is that perspective and that point of view isn't interesting. It's like really boring. So you're just like watching this and going like, oh, this is a bad theory and this is all this review has, and we're just like constantly going to it. Okay. He brings up that the great power from great responsibility line was so famous from the first movie. I'm like, like the Nostalgia Critic doesn't get that, like, that's not from the first movie, that's from Spider-Man comics. Like, I know most people learned it from the movie, but it's not from the movie. I don't get, like, he's like, you know, we can't have that because it was famous from the first movie. And I'm like, I get that they did change it and it is very awkward, but it's just like, why do you not, what he understands from the comics and what he doesn't is like wildly inconsistent and very confusing. And it makes me think like a writer gave him a ton of notes and he like knocked off ones he wasn't interested in. And he goes, but that's from the comics. Don't care. Whatever. We're moving on. And that's just the feel I get. I don't know. He does a lot of Bing disses in this, which is funny. He does use Bing a lot, which is true. I like what he said. He did have a good joke in this where he goes, Bing is a search engine you use when you don't want anyone to go through your search history. That was a good joke. I actually like that. He brings up Amazing Spider-Man 2 a lot, and it feels like basically what he did with Spider-Man 3 with the Raimi films, where he brings it up like, hey, you bet you can't wait for me to do this bad movie. I'm the Nostalgia Critic. I get angry because you don't have to, and stuff like that. And that's like, you know, his thing. I get it. But it just feels like it kind of like emphasizes the point I have that like he only really wants to do the bad ones. So like in a way, like why didn't you just do 3 and Amazing Spider-Man 2? Like why do these other movies? Like what's the point if you're just gonna like, obviously that's, why don't you just do that? I don't understand about that. But anyway, yeah, he brings up the thing about Flash Thompson, which I've always had a problem with Flash Thompson in this. I have done a review of this. It'll be, if you're watching this later, it'll be in a card up here somewhere when I make this a separate video, or it'll be in this at this point. It was a long time ago. I forgot what I said, but spoilers, I didn't like it. But yeah, he brings up Flash Thompson. Very inconsistent in this movie. I really don't like the Flash Thompson in the Amazing Spider-Man movies at all. He keeps bringing up how good Andrew Garfield is in this and how he's like more real. And I'm like, I never felt that way about Andrew Garfield in this. I felt like there's sometimes like his Spider-Man was good. I don't like his Peter Parker because that's not Peter Parker. Like I knew so many people would go, why even have Spider-Man, like why have Spider-Man if he's not a nerd? Like that's the whole point of the character. Like, oh, he's just an awkward web designer. It's like, that's like, make some other crappy character. Like why ruin Peter Parker in such a way? It doesn't make any sense to me at the time. I don't think he defends it by going like, he has so many nuances when he answers that question. I'm like, really? Like that's worth ruining this character? I don't agree with that, but whatever. He also doesn't mention that C. Thomas Howell is in this movie a lot. Like you have to have known that. Like there's no way he doesn't know that C. Thomas Howell. Anytime I see Amazing Spider-Man on TV, I'm always like, where's C. Thomas Howell? Like that, to me, C. Thomas Howell is the star of Amazing Spider-Man. And there's just like a bunch of other boring crap happens. But like C. Thomas Howell, why didn't he bring that up? Andrew Garfield hates Mondays. I love that joke in BoJack. I will agree with him. The Stan Lee cameo is maybe one of the best. It's really good. I still like that fight scene with Stan Lee in the library. I will agree that's good. This movie isn't like the worst Spider-Man movie, but it isn't like one I ever really want to watch or think about again. So this was an interesting review for me. I don't know. It's just like no one who defends this movie makes that much of a better argument. It's just the whole thing with Amazing Spider-Man is they kind of defend like, oh, it's more real. It's more like this. It's so different. But it's sort of like different in this crappy, middling studio way that to me it's like when people say that, I don't think they're really smart. I just look at it and go, oh, you have no taste. And to me, like, that's probably the thing with Doug Walker is like, duh, he has no taste. All he really cares about is nitpicking a bad movie. So to someone who nitpicks a bad movie, a movie that's just middling and just like sort of checks all these boxes and crap is a good movie. But like that isn't a good movie. That's a bad movie and everything like that. Zane Powers brings up why wasn't Bruce Campbell in this movie? He actually brings that up The Nostalgia Critic actually brings that up in his review. I will say that Bruce Campbell should have been in this. But cheers to you. Thank you for bringing that up. I'm liking all the Andrew Garfield stuff going on in the chat right now. It's pretty funny. But I just don't think the Nostalgia Critic basically had the problem of everyone who defends the Amazing Spider-Man movie never has a good theory. Their only theory is that this is more real. This is more like a movie. But, like, what does that even mean? Like, I think the highly stylized thing is much more of a movie and much more adapted from a specific creator's vision of Spider-Man. Amazing Spider-Man is just kind of like the basic idea of 90s comics. You're not doing Todd McFarlane. You're not doing the specific Clone Wars. You're not doing Black Suit or anything like that. You're just like kind of the overall vibe of Spider-Man, and that's relatively boring. Yeah, so I think in that sense, the Amazing Spider-Man is why those movies didn't hold up for me, and why this review is probably his weakest of all the theory ones, even though it is more just him talking to a camera and none of his over like characters or him dressing up as anything. Because like when you strip all that away, you have to have something. You're basically just showing the core of the review, and when your core is essentially rotten and not holding up anything, it's not really going to work. All right, that was it there. I have 2 questions from Patreon, and then I will answer questions from the chat, and then we'll get out of here. Sorry, this is a shorter show, but there's not as much stuff to talk about, basically. But yeah, so here we go. Here are 2 questions from Patreon. One from Gwen Stacy. I do like Emma Stone more as Gwen Stacy. Sure. I think they have good chemistry. I just think it's like, who gives a shit about that movie? Alright, so a guy named Crystal from Patreon asked, do you believe it's possible for anyone to watch something with a truly unbiased perspective? Sorry, whoa. Okay. Let's start over. Do you believe it's possible for anyone to watch something with a truly unbiased perspective even when they may have positive or negative expectations before watching? I think anyone's opinion is biased to a certain degree. A bias sometimes is an actual perspective. I think people get weird about that. I do think people should come into a movie, even if they're angry or want to joke about it, and try to look at it sort of like just let the movie speak for its own. But obviously you can't stop your perspective. You have that, and I guess that's considered a bias. I don't actually think that's a bad thing. I think it can be a good thing. I think it's only a bias when you're just sort of like not really seeing the movie or simply not getting it, but maybe that's the review of I think that's really the review I think, yeah, sorry, I got distracted there. When that's really that's sort of like what a review is. It's a perspective of a certain person. So that's what a review is. It's a perspective of a person interpreting a movie. So in a way, I think like it's fine to have bias. It's just like you shouldn't have it overwhelm it where you're not really talking about anything other than your own bias. That's probably more of a problem. I have a super chat from Pop Culture Guy 3000. What happened to the Stuart Gordon retrospective? I was gonna talk about him. I'm not really going to do further than that. Usually when I do the RIP kind of things, but thank you for the super chat, Pop Culture Guy 3000. I'm sorry to upset you. I'm sorry to upset you that I didn't talk about him more. I felt like I tried to research him and say like how I felt about him, but I don't normally do longer things than that. I know he probably meant more to you, and I apologize if it wasn't enough in your opinion. So apologies, but thank you very much for the support and the super chat. Male tears, and this is a thing if you've noticed in the comments that's kind of building. This is the new Juana Man. Said, "Hi Jim, I hope you're well. What's your favorite David Lynch project out of the ones you've seen? I mean, also, when can you get around to reviewing Party Monster starring Macaulay Culkin and Seth Green?" So his Party Monster thing wants to be the new Juana Man. He has to wait 4 years, but he can keep doing that, I guess. Or submit it from the Patreon or something like that. But anyway. I saw Party Monster once. I don't know, man. Sorry. But favorite David Lynch project, I would actually say it's probably Twin Peaks. Eraserhead would be second. I think Twin Peaks is actually pretty phenomenal, especially first season. And I would say Twin Peaks. And Eraserhead, I think, was pretty great. I like Blue Velvet. It's not as high for me. I think I've seen all his stuff. I kind of saw Twin Peaks season 3. I wasn't as into it. I saw Inland Empire. I think I've seen everything, to be honest with you. What's the one with Laura Dern and Nick Cage? I didn't see that one, but other than that, I've seen them all. And I would just say the first season of Twin Peaks, to me, is his best stuff, even the stuff he didn't direct, that he was just like more creatively involved. I think that's like kind of his peak, frankly. Anyway, because it's like halfway, I like him when he's super weird, but it's like halfway he's super weird and meets the mainstream culture in a way that I found much more fascinating than when he's completely weird. Although I still love Eraserhead. I think he's never really topped that one. So, I'd say those two. Alright, so let's just do the chat for a little bit, and then we'll call it a night, I guess. Alright, so, Jacob Shelter, do you watch Dark Simpsons? I don't really know what that is, but I've watched The Simpsons, so I don't know. Someone explain to me later, I guess, what that is. Question, favorite Edgar Wright movie? Mine is Hot Fuzz from Ransan Film. I would say I probably is Hot Fuzz as well. My wife's been watching Spaced a lot, so I'd say Spaced is high up there. It might actually be Shaun of the Dead, might be my favorite, but I'd say it's either Shaun of the Dead or Hot Fuzz. I prefer his English stuff to his American stuff, frankly. Not plausible. Do you know that in World War II, the British created rocket-assisted bunker buster bomb called the Disney bomb? It's designed inspired by the Disney war propaganda film Victory Through Air Power. I didn't know that. Not plausible. I don't think that's a question, but it's a good trivia. How come we don't see Andrew Garfield anymore? I've always heard he kind of torpedoed his way through Hollywood, and he's doing more plays and stuff. I also think he is a supporting actor, really. He's not a lead, and I think he got bumped to a lead, and that never worked out, and so I think Hollywood sort of rejected him. I wish he had just done the supporting actor thing that we saw him through Social Network, because I think he would have risen higher. I think he sort of got lost in the mix of everything. I actually do think he's a good actor and has a lot of potential, but he just sort of has done a lot of Broadway and stuff, so I don't think he knows where he's going at this point. But I hope he lands on his feet. I think he could be pretty cool if he gets his shit together, and gets a good agent and stuff like that. I don't think Spider-Man was a good... I think we should have just not done the Amazing Spider-Man franchise at all, frankly, if you ask me. From Zane Powers... No, we did have Zane Powers. Sorry, that last one was Zane Powers. Cornbread asks, do you think that a theatrical film animated completely with pixel art could ever happen? Do you think it would be too weird out there for general audiences? I think it could happen. I do not think that's a general audience movie, but I think if you got the right director and the right character designer, it possibly could, but I think that would be something that would play more limited or streaming or so forth. Niji Kichu questions, have you ever seen Beasters yet on Netflix? I highly recommend it. I haven't seen that, but I've heard a lot about it. Maybe I will try to check it out soon. Austin asks, what happened to Robot Jones? I think she lives 2 blocks down. I don't know. Star Brand Lit. Whoa. Oh no, I lost my thing there. Wow, there's a lot of questions. This is... Yeah, anyway, if I do not get to tonight, then please go to the Discord for the Ask Jim section. Will you force Sophie to watch old cartoons, or you want to let her do her own thing? I prefer to let her do her own thing. I think that's healthier. I do show her some stuff, but if she's not into it, I kind of back away and let her steer it. My parents tried to get me to watch some things, and some things I wish I had appreciated at the time, but you kind of gotta let kids like what they like. You kind of can't be like, when I was a kid I like this, so my kid's gonna like that. That doesn't work that way. They're their own people. Let them choose, basically, but I showed her Toy Story. She's obsessed with that, so it sort of works in a lot of weird ways. Ace the Wind Rider, would you rather go to a drive-in or a movie in the park, and why? Drive-ins are better. Movies in the park I've done before, and those can be fun. I went to seeing Secret of My Success, or Secret of Whatever Success. I saw that, and with the backdrop was the skyline of Manhattan. That was amazing. I saw Rocky in Little Italy in Baltimore. I've done a lot of great park. I probably have more memories of watching movies in the park, so I'd actually say movies in the park, because my only drive-in memory is when I saw Shrek and Evolution in 2001. So I'm going to actually say in the park, because I've had more experience with that, but drive-ins I would like to do a drive-in again in my life. Zodberg asked, it's not really a question, but he rewatched Social Network, and it is interesting how many people are good in the Social Network and aren't good in other places. That's true. Ransom Film question: The World Ends is amazing. Simon Pegg's best performance. Do you like it? Love it or like it? I think I like it. I haven't seen World's End in a while, but I need to rewatch it, frankly. Question: have you seen the documentary Tiger King, and will you do a review on it? We watched 3-4 episodes. I just went through the thing about the woman's murdered husband or whatever. I don't think I'll do a review of it. That's not really something review normally, so I don't think I will. Sorry. Question. Based off my previous question, I'd like to see a video going over the history of World War II propaganda films. Seems like something Saber Sparks would do. I ask him about that. I don't know if he would, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll bring it up one time. But I would ask him, if I were you, I would ask him. But that would be, there's a lot of those. There's too many to go through. I looked at a list once and I was like, whoa, maybe never mind. But that's a good point. Mako Wacko asks, have you watched the new cartoon Glitch Text? I have not watched that, but I've heard good things. Bruce Parker asks, did you know that Doug Walker tried pushing the Don Bluth Kickstarter years ago? I did know that. I watched the interview sort of recently, actually. He was trying, I don't think there's anything wrong with Doug doing that, but I think he just was a supporter of Don Bluth, so, good on him. Jacob Selter, I can't believe the finale of SU didn't practice social distancing. Nice. Lauren Jones, are there any Netflix originals you would like to see a physical release of? Mine would be Love, Death, and Robots. I would like a good Blu-ray of Klaus. I would say that. And then, what was the Shirkers? I love Shirkers. I need to rewatch that. Evil Ira says, what would be a cool non-superhero comic book to adapt for an animated series? Bone. But they're doing that, so there we go. Want a Hertz Donut from Ryan Walterson. Are you going to come out of the wall and hit me? That'd be scary. Please don't do that if you have the power to do that. Zane Powers, the first flame emerged, bringing light into the world, but you can't have life without death, or light without darkness, so they two were bond. When will you play Dark Souls? I'm probably not going to play Dark Souls, Zane Powers, but I'm happy that you clearly are very much enjoying it. Not plausible. Why are we still here, just to suffer? I mean, sorta, Nice, Ryan. Hurts donut. I get it. Did you know, this is from Nathaniel Fogel, did you know that Doug Walker managed to get Don Bluth to appear in a Nostalgia Critic episode where Don was promoting the Dragon Slayer movie Indiegogo? I did know that. I think I mentioned that already. But anyway. Zane Powers, how well has, I guess this is Ace Ventura aged? I'm assuming not well. I've heard it does not, mainly because it's transphobia. What does the fox say? Actually, what did the fox say? I don't remember. Austin, question. In Denzel Washington movie Man on Fire, did Denzel ever get his food? You have to see the movie. That's a twist, man. I can't reveal that. That's a spoiler. Niji Kichu, would Tommy Wiseau be perfect in an MCU movie as a villain? And if so, who should he be? I would say like a villain he defeats at the beginning of the movie. That would be funny enough and be fine. Maybe Arcade from X-Men. I can't think of anyone else. I just thought of it. I don't know why I thought of that. I don't know. What song do you think is the most overused in film history? Bruce Parker. I would say CCR with Anything Vietnam. I would say, yeah, I'm just going to go with that. Anyway. Not plausible question. What are some non-entertainment, non-animated focused YouTube channels you watch? I do watch Rocked, which had the, damn it. The which we talked about recently. Now I forget the series of, but I watched that. I watch Justin Wang. I watch what's this one called Company Man, which I think most people wouldn't think I'd watch. I watch The Game Historian. I watch Unsolved Mysteries a lot on YouTube. They have all the Robert Stack episodes, and I'm a big fan of that. So I would say those. Question, what are the best C. Thomas Howell movies to watch? E.T. I think most of his solo movies kind of sucked. I would just say E.T. Zane Powers, I found a corpse that looks like a lot like Creech's. What do I do? Just run. You never found it. We don't know anything. Just call the cops tomorrow and say, I don't know. I know nothing. No, if you do find a corpse, call the police and don't touch it. What is Zero Master and what was your relationship with him? Oh, okay. I think you mean Zero, who helped create Cleus Fetus. Him and Ian and I were all kind of like buddies. We were like this friends. We lived together. He was a cool guy. He kind of likes to be sort of anonymous. He was in the Party Song video also. If you check that out, you can see him. But he was nice. I saw him on the subway recently, and it was crazy seeing him. But I haven't. We're not really that much in contact. But he helped me create Cletus, and that was pretty cool. Will you ever do a Dr. Seuss Will you ever do Sorry. Will you ever do every Dr. Seuss TV show / movies? I don't think I'll do anything. There's not so many that I'd want to do, to be honest. Maybe that old movie he wrote. I've been sort of wanting to do that. I might do that. So I don't know. Question: Nero's Q. Maybe? I'm not sure what that meant. Anyway, sorry, pop culture guy. I just don't. That's not really how I do. And I don't think he meant as much to me. But I apologize if you expected more. Sorry about that. What are your thoughts on nihilists? I have no opinion. Question: how should you go about structuring your story? I would say you should structure it there is no de facto great story structure. It's sort of a thing that's right for the story that you're telling. And it's telling how you tell that story is a part of how you experience that story. And I think there is no correct way. There's many different ways to tell a story. It's not a simple this way or that way or anything like that. You should think about why certain decisions you made and even go off them and do the reverse. A good storyteller knows why they're telling the story that way and the reason they're doing it that way, and you have to have specific reasons. If you don't have specific reasons, it doesn't play as well. And a real master of storytelling knows exactly why they did that and exactly what the purpose of doing that is. And if you don't know your purpose of using that structure, then there's no, of using the structure or why you're telling the story, then there's no point to even telling it, frankly. I hope that answered it. Have you watched a lot of glitch tech questions? I'm not sure. Do you watch DuckTales? I watched it before. I need to catch up on it. What's the most annoying ad you're getting on YouTube right now? I'm not sure which one. I can't think of a question. What are movies good to watch with cats or dogs? My cat really liked Problem Solvers for a little bit. What are your favorite Steve Universe characters? I would say who are the one that damn it, my brain's not working. I think this might be it. Have you ever done a review of Violence Voyager? No. What are you most excited for April 2020? I don't even know at this point. Staying alive. Since you watched Todd in the Shadows and Rock Reviews, I recommend another X-Men CEO called The Rock Critic. I should probably watch The Rock Critic. Question: favorite your questions. Oh, can you do that on here? No, I don't think you can do that. I think you're wrong. Could you rap for us? No. What do you? Have you ever done? What are your thoughts on? I think I've done all these. If I missed you, I'm sorry. Any movie, product, tie-in food you legitimately love? I do actually like Szechuan sauce. I did like the big cups for episode 1 for soda. I'd say that one. And last one from Bruce Parker. This is the last one. Everybody else, if you want to watch, if you want to ask me a question, go to the Discord or just ask me in here or tweet me. I'm pretty good at getting back to people for the most part, except for on here. From Bruce Parker, would you ever go on Hot Ones, the show with hot wings and even hotter questions? I would go on that. I actually recently was thinking about how my life is a lot like that Paul Rudd quote, where he's like, look at us. You ever think you'd be here? Not me. I was just like, that is very much my life. Oh, 420. Sorry, I have no 420 plans at this stage of my life. All right, so I think that is it. I'm sorry it is a shorter show than it usually is. Anyway, I just want to say thank you all for watching so much lately. Thank you for all the support. Everyone on Patreon, everything like that. I've had a lot of big videos this week. I had, what did I? Anyway, I had Korgoth, Nostalgia Critic, Movie Crap Live Wednesday, all sorts of, Portrait of Lady on Fire review, which is now on Hulu. Yeah, a lot of stuff. Check all those out. I put a Knock Force commentary on Patreon. I'll have another Knock Force commentary exclusive to Patreon this week, including an April Fool's Day video, which you definitely will not expect, and probably a movie review vote video tomorrow instead of Monday. It's going to be a day earlier than you expect, and all that stuff. So it should be a cool week coming up. I think I'm back on Wednesday. We'll see about that. But anyway, I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're all safe and healthy and having a good night, and get some sleep and take care of yourself and do something nice for anyone who is really affected by this, who really cannot go outside, try to pick up food for them, clean for them, do something nice, and be nice to your loved ones right now. And just be generally, let's all be cool people. Anyway, I will see you all later. I will see you hopefully next Saturday at the very least. And I hope you all have a really great night. And thank you for watching. And subscribe if... Is it doing it? Subscribe if you would like to.